Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
So if you want to say hello, I have a friend who has ALS. His name is Craig Oster.
Assalamu
He's from Michigan.
Hello, everybody.
He's taken a hand with Sidi Muhammad, and
very nice.
He was very interested in talking to you. And
very nice.
He has severe ALS. He's had it for maybe 20 years, a very long time. And he has muscle weakness. He doesn't move much.
Allah Ta'ala grant him, inshallah, for complete healing, speedy recovery, ease and happiness in all of us. All right, so what do you want me to do?
You want to begin your teaching, and then we'll see if there's a.
All right.
Now there's a button here. Hasna had asked a question. Dr. Craig, if he wants to ask a question, it'll pop up here. I'll give you a Q&A.
Okay.
When it's red, it means there's a question. They'll be listed over here.
Okay. So, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Rasulullah. Assalamu alaikum to everybody. Peace be upon all of you. And with my beloved Habib here, he's trying to take this message of love, I think, across far and wide. I think we all in this world, that's what we probably need. From a very Sufi perspective, if I may say, the old Sufi masters have always said that we're all meant to have a happy life. Obviously, you all know that Sufi masters or Sufis have always looked at death as a delusional distinction from life. They didn't see really death at all. They just saw transition from one phase to another phase of life. It's always life after creation. So they've always taught that we're meant to have, and we're supposed to have, or we're able to have, let's say, a full life of happiness. Things that we love, things that we want to accomplish. We believe that the Creator, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator of all, enabled us to have everything that we want to accomplish. In matters of, let's say, ambitions, in relationships with family and friends, wealth, health, living the dreams. In fact, Sufis have always said that the dreams are not necessarily something that come in the future. The dreams are something that you actually live now. You are able to actually live your dream. The Creator, as the Quran mentioned, الَّذِي أَعْطَى, when Moses was asked by Pharaoh, and he asked him, as the Quran states, فَمَنْ رَبُّكُمَا يَا مُوسَى, who is then your Lord, O Moses? Pharaoh asks. And Moses, alayhi salatu wasalam, Sayyidina Musa answers him in a beautiful way. Obviously, he is who he is. A great prophet of God and messenger of God. He says, رَبُّنَا الَّذِي أَعْطَى كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلْقَهُ ثُمَّ هَدَى. Our Creator is the one who gave everything its full creation, everything you need. But not only that, then Moses said, ثُمَّ هَدَى, and then he guided them. He didn't just equip you with all you need, enabled you to be the best and have the happiest life, but he also guided you to it. So it's two levels here. And therefore, he subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Creator, Azza wa Jal, granted us the opportunity to have whatever we need, and then guided on top of that. When we wake up every day, I think the first order of business, Islam sort of tells us, and Sufis have always spoken about that. Also, Jesus have mentioned that, Moses have mentioned that, Abraham has mentioned that. These things are not something that, this kind of wisdom is not something that's new, that's just 1,000 or 2,000 or even 3,000 or 4,000 years old. I think this is ancient wisdom. And the first thing that, for example, the chapter that's called the opening, and I think we all require some kind of opening, and from perfection to higher perfection, from heaven to higher level of heavens, if we may say so. For Sufis, I've always felt that the sky is not the limit. The skies are just the beginning. With that, the instructions of many people who have walked the path, literally, rather than theoretically, but literally walked the path to illumination, walked the path to God Almighty, walked the path to the Creator of all. They figured in many ways, and I think that the opening chapter in the Quran summarizes it, and it starts in the name of God, in the name of Allah, the Almighty. But then obviously doesn't say the Almighty. In the name of God says the All Merciful, the unconditionally compassionate. So you sort of start your day with invoking the name of Allah or of God Almighty, saying Allah is God in Arabic. But the first order of business, it seems like, and during the day is we when we wake up, is that we should be filled with gratitude. The first thing in the opening is Alhamdulillah. And if you just leave it at the first word, Alhamdu. Alhamd means gratitude, praise, thank you. And I think sort of after we realize that we came from there and we're going back there, as if the opening chapter is giving us the understanding that when we wake up every day, the very first order of business is check our heart. How's your heart today? And that heart ought to be filled with gratitude, just filled with gratitude, because you know the Creator gave you another day to experience His love, to experience gratitude itself, to experience many things, and that you are able to have an absolutely fabulous day and an absolutely joyous day, a day filled with joy and laughter and love and giving and contribution and all that, to sort of examine the effects of the manifestation of the Creator, of the loving, the most loving one, in everything and everywhere that you see. You're able, because the Creator enabled us to have a strong life, a safe life, to feel good about ourselves. The Creator afforded all of us dignity simply because we're human beings, that He created us. Al-Quran states that explicitly. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا بَنِي Adam. We have honored the children of Adam. Just because they're the children of Adam, they're honored. So it's important that when we also wake up in the first order of business to realize that you are invaluable. You are afforded dignity and value and worth by none other than your Creator, the one who knows you best and knows everything about you. Yet He afforded all of that to you and then graced you with His love and mercy eternally, showing you the way to Him. Glorified He is. But He did not leave you alone, like I started with the verse, the Quranic verse that where Moses was talking back to Pharaoh, when Pharaoh asked and Moses went and told him, Musa alayhi salam told him, رَبُّنَا الَّذِي أَعْطَى كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلْقَهُ. My Lord that I believe in, my Creator that I believe in, my God, is the one who perfected the creation of everything. You're a perfect creation. And then not only that, then Moses said, Musa alayhi salam said, ثُمَّ هَدَى. But not only that, graced that creation eternally with His love. And I think if we sort of look at that and try to sort of harness that energy and that love and that illumination that comes from the first chapter, the opening, I think we're meant then to have an amazing life. Surely there are people who live this life, and it starts from the beginning of the day. One of the great Sufis in the old days, his name is Ibn Ata. He's the one who wrote the aphorisms. Very a great saint in our thinking, and a great scholar, and a great Sufi. He said, "Man ashraqat bidayatuh, ashraqat nihayatuh." He or she whose beginning is right, their end is bright, or both. Whoever's beginning is bright, their end is also bright. The beginning is important, and that's why, again, I'm starting there, because a lot of people, again, they put their lives and they amplify the struggle, they amplify the negatives, and the moments of happiness are far and few between. Oftentimes people think they're born to just toil and in their work 5 days a week, and when they have a weekend, they orchestrate carefully moments of happiness where they exhaust themselves to eventually have just few moments, to harness few moments of happiness and absolute tranquility and inner peace and calmness, and sort of synchronicity with the rest of the creation, and this way opening your heart to the love of the Creator. Oftentimes we're living in a world where people have a lot of worries and fear oftentimes as well, and that brings also suffering. And what's the point of life? Sort of Sufis have always told us that you are meant to experience life to its fullest extent, and surely life is a progress, as the Quran tells us. I mean, the Bible mentions the same thing. The Torah mentions the same thing, more or less. Everyone mentions the same thing, more or less. It's a gradual approach. It's never the same level, but you're meant to grow in it. But you're meant to also be filled with joy, irrespective of the experience that you're having. You're meant to be filled with happiness, irrespective of the experience you're having. You're meant to be filled with vitality and love, irrespective of your surrounding. You are the focus rather than the surrounding around you. I think life could be a lot easier if we started with the opening. In the name of God, the unconditionally loving, the unconditionally compassionate or merciful. All of them overlap, really, because Rahim in the Arabic language, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, they come from the Arabic stem Rahim, which means womb of the mother. And the womb of the mother that the Quran uses here in a way that's not similar to the creation, but just to bring it closer to our understanding. And the womb of a mother does not just give the embryo mercy. In fact, the first it gives is love, nourishment, protection, care, you name it. So when you start in the name of God, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, the unconditionally loving, the unconditionally nourishing, the unconditionally kind, and then you go into this, the first order of business is that being filled with gratitude and thankfulness. I think then we can start sort of looking towards the beauty of life, looking towards enjoying every moment as we live. And then obviously, eventually we're transitioning to the next phase of life where experience is different. Al-Quran shows us also in other books, again, the message of Jesus, alayhi salatu wassalam, may the best peace and blessings be upon him. The message of Musa, alayhi salatu wassalam, also may the best peace and blessing be upon him. And all the prophets and messengers God commissioned to guide humanity, they showed us that life is much simpler than we really want to make it. We tend to sort of make life much more complex than it really is. And they were not showing us an ideal picture as much as they're showing us a real picture. And the real picture entails struggle, entails positive, and entails negative, obviously. The path of Moses was not that easy. When he was there in Egypt with Pharaoh, and the danger that he was exposed to, and etc. But the beauty of the path to the Creator of all, the beauty of the path to God Almighty, I like to say God All Loving. You know what? Let's do that. The beauty of the path to God All Loving, Al-Wadud, in the Quran came the word Al-Wadud. Al-Wadud means the most loving. The beauty of it is that, like I mentioned at the beginning, it's not just that the path is shown to you. You're not just given a map, but you're actually given a guide with the map. Here's the map with all the information you need, right? Like Moses said, alayhi salam, Musa said, alayhi salam, to Pharaoh, hey, رَبُّنَا الَّذِي أَعْطَى كُلَّ شَيْءٍ خَلْقَهُ. Our Lord is the one who gave everything its full, all its needs. There you go. But not only that, ثُمَّ هَدَى, but he gave him a guide. You see, the Israelites, they knew the way out of Egypt, but knowing the way theoretically with the maps, with the direction, is not necessarily enough. They needed Moses to guide the way. They needed Moses, alayhi salatu wassalam, peace be upon him, to lead the way, to show them the way. Knowledge of the way, of the path, is one thing, and then Moses is the one that crossed. That's another thing. Their salvation was not just in the map and in the direction that they need to exit Egypt, but their salvation was in also following the footsteps of Moses. That was where their salvation is. All right. So, and because life entails these negative and positive things, I mean, that's what it is, whether it's with health, wealth, work, etc., all these things, people are affected based on how much positive and how much negative runs in their life. The Sufi way was always to be real, but to realize that ideal is not impossible. In fact, ideal is very possible, in the sense that realizing that there is negative out there, but realizing that the positive is a lot more than the negative. And if you can harness that power from the positive, you will absolutely neutralize most of the negative. And even if you have to transverse some of that negative, you'll actually have a positive experience out of it. It's turning the negative into positive in our lives. You do obviously have experienced these things, both things. But I think Sufis want us to look at two things. First, to be connected to the all-loving and to imbibe and to draw love and strength from him. And then to move on from there through the difficulties of life and then neutralize it. What the Creator, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the all-loving, gave us by when Moses says, ثُمَّ هَدَى, then he guided, he graced us with tools that we can actually change the negative into positive. Everyone who had a great life, if we examine anybody who had a great life, from prophets to messengers, saints, great people, there's one thing in common always: love. They had lots of love in them. People who did not have love, they've always had bitter life, or they have bitter life. And the more love people have, the more happiness they have and the more fulfilling life they have. Love has been talked about. Sufis harp around that, what they call hub or mahabba or love. I mean, they harp around that all their lives. They sing about it, they chant in poetry, they write about it, and they're still puzzled. And that, what is love? Because you can't really describe it in one. It's not describable. Love has been talked about by almost all faith systems, every religion almost, great thinkers, philosophers, leaders. But most people have not really experienced love. Most people talk about love, just like most people, most religious people even, talk about God. Few talk to God. Many talk about him. Some people actually go and fight, quote unquote, about God. Very few people know God. And very few people realize what God would like them to do. Few of us understood these wise, simple, but wise words of our Sufi masters in the old days, which is, son, you have to find him first. You have to look for that love. You have to find that love and nourish that love. Uh, it seems that Sufis always talk about veils, different kinds of veils. And among the veils that they talk about is the contemporariness, being contemporary with something. And because love, they say, is so obvious, you're veiled. It's like sometimes when you're looking for your keys and you're looking around for your keys and it turns out they're right in front of you, but you can't see them. And it's sort of similar to that, yet love is much more than that. But the kind of love that prophets, messengers, great thinkers, saints, reformers, good people, pious people, decent people, the kind of love they had or they talked about seems to be a lot different from what we understand today with love. Today we have a very reductionist attitude when it comes to love, obviously, because we have a very reductionist attitude when it comes to anything. We reduce everything into one or two words, and usually just words, not experiences anymore. And what Prophet Moses, what Prophet Jesus, what Prophet Muhammad, what Prophet Abraham, what Prophet Joseph, what Prophet Isaac, what Noah, all of them, what they told us is, in many ways, that love is more than just loving yourself and loving your family and loving your favorite things. Because love is not just a feeling. It's not just a feeling. It's actually a whole dimension. It is actually a life. It's sort of something that you walk in and you tap into, and then you sort of drown yourself into love. And the more you drink from it, the more you live. And the more you drown in it, the more you see. And love was not just a feeling, but and love was not weak, was not temporary. Love was not conditional. Love was not feeble. Love is that language they figured eventually that the whole universe speaks, especially what we call the non-living or the non-intelligent one, which means entities that have no thinking process. We think, let's say, from our perspective now, we think that they don't. But ancient Sufis have always said that everything actually communicates through love with each other. Everything. Absolutely everything. Except the very thing that you have control of, which is your mind, which controls your body. But even that, the voluntary part, yes, but the involuntary part also communicates through love. So it seems like there's sort of two ways of communication, even with things that have been given the power to control, let's say like the mind or so. I always say it's not the heart that is difficult, it's the mind that plays tricks oftentimes. But the Al-Wadud, or the all-loving, subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creator God, the all-loving, gave us this avenue of mahabba, or love, which, like I said, Sufis have talked about, lived their whole life in its pursuit, and gave us that platform so not only we can illuminate ourselves, polish ourselves, refine ourselves, but also so we can be close to him. So we can start our paradise. A lot of people think paradise comes in the hereafter, when they don't realize that paradise starts right now. That's where you're living. So he gave us that path of love to sort of Number one, trying to neutralize the negatives that's out there, refine ourselves and connect, fill our hearts and ourselves with love of him, love of his prophets and messengers, love of the good people, and love of good things. Look at the prophetic narrative. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ mentioned hadith, it's an authentic narration in At-Tirmidhi and others, where amongst his most prayers, amongst the prayers that the Prophet used to make is, "Oh Allah, Allahumma inni as'aluka hubbak." Oh God, I beg you to grant me your love. Unconditional. Make me only see your love. And not only that, and the love of those who love you. Put in my heart the love of those who love you. I may see them, I may not see them, they may be here, they may be there. Whoever loves you, put the love of them in my heart. I want to love those who love you, even if I don't see them or if they're not here or whatever. And that's very important. And look at that's that network of love that the Prophet is establishing. But the Prophet ﷺ not stop here. The Prophet ﷺ went further and he said, وَحُبَّ عَمَلٍ يُقَرِّبُنِي إِلَى حُبِّكَ, and make me love all things, all actions that are beloved to you. Make me love them. And it's all, you see that gravity of love. And therefore, if I always say, if you examine anything in the universe that's perfect, there's love behind it. You know what? If you examine something that you perfect, if you perfect it, there's love behind it. There's no way you can perfect something without love. It doesn't exist. If you like something so much, you love it, you perfect it. If you don't, you're never going to perfect it. Perfection and love comes always, again, you'll see how that is. And that's why for these people who carry a lot of love in their hearts, I mean, they look at the world and they would say, well, what would the world be without love? Not possible. Collapses. Not possible. Right? So, you know, I think for when we look at our path to the Creator, to the all-loving of all, I think the first thing we should look into is, number one, after invoking his name, the all-loving, in the name of God, the merciful, the loving, and we stand first in alhamd, which means a station of gratitude, absolute gratitude, thankfulness. Gratitude is very important. Like, you know, they always say, inhale love, exhale gratitude. And the more gratitude you exhale, the better. In fact, Sufis have always argued in the old days, what is more important, love or gratitude? And guess what? They said gratitude is more important. Why? They said love in its first stages requires reciprocation. People first, when they love, when you say to someone, I love you, what do you expect back? I love you too. You might say it once, twice, I love you, and you're really waiting for what? You're waiting for, I love you too. And if you don't hear I love you too, you might get bored of saying I love you. I don't know if I keep saying I love you, I don't get it. You know what? Verses with gratitude, and that's why the Quran starts with this. You open up the first in the name of God, the most merciful, the loving, then you hear alhamd, gratitude. They say with gratitude, there is no requirement for reciprocation. When you are genuinely thankful, you're just thankful. Thank you. Whether you say you're welcome, you don't say you're welcome, makes no difference. Thank you anyway. Thank you. And I think that we start our day with this, and then hopefully this will be a calibration of our entire lives so that we can start with that station of gratitude. This way it moves you. Sufis have always said that a life without love is a graveyard, is death. Life without love is death. وَالْحُبُّ دُونَ وَالْعَيْشُ دُونَ الْحُبِّ أَوْ لَذِّ الْهَوَى. They said life without love is death. And love, well, I'm going to say this. And love without life is life. What do you mean love without life is life? Well, with love, there's no death. So it's always life. Life without love is death. Love without life is always life, because with love, there is no death. And that's what they've always said. And that's why they said, when you draw on, in the name of Allah, the most loving, the most compassionate, the most caring, that's the meaning of Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And then you stand in the station of Alhamdu, Alhamdu, a station of gratitude. That love that you're taking, that you're getting, and you're drawing from Allah, from the creator of all, from the loving creator, that will move you, and that will make your way, and that will draw your path for you. And it'll take you from your orbit that you're orbiting. You may be orbiting a lower span or spanning a lower orbit in life. It'll take you to much higher orbits. And the more love you have, the higher you will soar with your love. So I think that, look, we all have a choice in this life. We all live similar lives. The details don't really matter. I mean, everybody is looking for hope, growth, and opportunity. Doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter where you are. Hope, growth, opportunity. People want to be happy. And I think we all have a choice in that. And I think Sufis have walked that path. It's a path that's very well traveled. Surely it's traditional in its ways. It's sometimes the wisdom is a bit ancient, but I think that's important about wisdom. And I think we all have a choice. We have a choice to start with the opening, or start with no opening, and hope somehow something will happen. The grace of the Creator, all loving, will grace us, obviously, still. But I think that starting right, like Ibn Atta said, whoever's beginning is right, their end is also right. I think that's the right thing to do. All right, I think we can stop here for today. Maybe we can
have
ask
some questions there.
If y'all have some questions, let me know.
See if you.
All right. So, Hasna, please think of a question. Ask.
I guess I was asking her if she had any questions beforehand. Dr. Craig, do you have any questions?
Alaikum salam, Hasna. How are you both? And all of you, Allah bless all of you. Thank you so much for taking your time today and listening. And I want to thank also my beloved for making the trip and doing these things. It always takes. Sufis have always told us that it takes few people to live to give the rest of the dead life. So some people have to actually work so the rest can actually live. Alhamdulillah. Yes, go ahead. Feel free and write your question if you have any question.
Let's see if Dr. Craig has a question. He has trouble writing. He can't write.
Okay, then ask me verbally if you can.
Yeah.
All right, so first question is, I feel lately I fall down in my walking.
You have a question, Dr. Craig?
Look, the walking on the path requires 3 P's, I call it: patience, persistence, perseverance. By being persistent, that is by itself advancing, because you see, if you're walking on the path and you're on the same level and you had the test, obviously, because everywhere we go, we get sort of tested. The reason for testing is promotion, is so we can take, you see, because we all span orbits in this life. And what the Sufis have always asked us to sort of go to as much as we can, go to higher orbits, and they're higher and higher and higher orbits. So if you expect to be tested always the same test, let's say someone is in elementary school and they get the first grade test and they pass, very nice. Well, great, but they should not get all the time the first grade test. They need to now get tests second grade. The point in these tests, or when people fall down, is not that you pass or fail as much. Though people always focus, am I passing the test? Am I failing the test? They're focusing too much on the test, while the focus ought to be that, am I close to him, the all-loving, or am I not? That's the test. It makes no difference. Other things may come and go. Difficulties, ease may come and go. But your real ease is being in close to, in observance, in his presence, observing his beauty, observing his love of you. That's the test. The test is not really, the test is not really passing. It's like when you teach your children, to play, football or basketball or soccer ball. It's not about winning or losing. It's not important. Kids worry about that. But adults, what are they saying? Did you learn some, did you move? Did you enjoy? Right? And oftentimes we act like kids. We don't, that spiritual maturity is not there sometimes, because then we feel hurt. Why is this? How come? I think, like I said, if I may ask then myself and you to simply remain persistent in his love. And not only that, open your heart. Like I said, fill your heart every single day with that love and try to walk your life. Then you'll see things are totally different. Things will change before you. The colors before you will actually look much prettier, and you'll see things differently. So don't worry about the fluctuations. Fluctuations on the path are absolutely normal. Prophets had to go through lots of things with their companions and the people around them. But one thing that was always there was they went from strength to strength when it came to the love, and their love to the Creator and love to what they're seeing, or what they're seeing ahead of them, which is him after all.
Were there any more questions listed?
I don't know how to
check that.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
Thank you, Hassan. Allah bless you.
He said thanks. She said thank you. He said alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Great.
All right.
All right.
No questions. This is your chance. If you have any, we've got the Shaykh here. 2 people.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is your chance. Take your chance. Anything in life. This beautiful man here for you.
It's his. I'm just reflecting his beauty. Yes, go ahead, Hasna. If you have any other question, go ahead and ask. And inshallah, we'll try to be regular with this.
Yeah, repeat her question if you can't read it. It's on me here.
And, we'll try to be as regular in this as we can, inshallah.
Once a month
yeah, maybe once a month, and then we'll try to get it from there. And we'll try to air also this, make it available for people.
We'll post it to us tomorrow next day on Facebook. I'm going to send it back to all the people who signed up and didn't make it.
Yes. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. So question, let's see, how do we not fall too much in love with people, not let that love hurt you as oftentimes it does? All right. How can you keep love? Then the other question, how can you keep loving to someone who is hurting you? So these are 2 questions, one from Yasmin, one from Hasna. All right. So let me just say this. It's not, first of all, you've got to calibrate your relationship. You as a creation are absolutely invaluable. You're a precious creation. You are dignified. The Creator, the all-loving, created you and said, وَلَقَدْ كَرَّمْنَا, which means we've honored the children of Adam. You are an honored creation. Keep your love with the Creator first and foremost. That's why I said the very first thing you will open up your eyes, just think of all the beauty the Creator, the Almighty, the all-loving gave you, and fill your heart with it. And before you sleep, do the same thing. Sleep on his love and wake up filled with gratitude and love towards him. It's very important that we first establish that connection with him, because I told you a lot of people ask about or talk about God, and few people actually talk to him. I would want from me and you in the morning and at night, even if it's few seconds, just to have our hearts filled with the love towards the all loving. And that love ought to translate into automatic overflowing in our hearts of gratitude towards him, because he has given us so much. In fact, the strongest thing, the strongest connection we have to our pre-mortal life, all of us, is our spiritual encounter with his eternal love that graced us so much without even us existing other than in the world of spirits. And some of the greatest, biggest connections we have to our pre-mortal life is how much our prophet and all the prophets have given us love throughout the years, sent it down our ways without even seeing us in that specific sense. So we're all created to receive and channel love at the same time. Use it. Now, all right, you say, okay, so first, calibrate that relationship with the all-loving, the all-loving creator of ours. So you're always connected to him every day, at least these few seconds. And I'm asking few seconds literally, because I know people say, oh, minutes, sure we can. Yeah, you try to really clear your mind for few minutes and be with the creator without anything before. It's going to take you some practice. It's a matter of, it's cumulative. It's a build-up thing. So I'm happy with few seconds at the beginning to think about all the beauty and all the love the creator has shown you, and to fill your heart with love back, and also with gratitude back. Very important. All right, with that now, I would like you to establish that relationship with the creator, you and him, every day, twice at least. Now with that, you're going to find in the world, because of free choice, the creator gave us free choice. Because of free choice, so we can be accountable, you're going to have negatives. People do negative things. Use that love the creator, the all-loving creator, overwhelms you with every day to neutralize it, to dispel all these negativities, and walk towards them. Now, I'm not saying forget, I'm saying forgive. Forget is another thing. It's, beyond me. You forget, you don't forget, that's another thing. How can you keep giving love to someone who is hurting you? Well, first, obviously, you should eliminate abuse. If there is abuse, you should never be keep yourself liable to further abuse or more abuse. No one says that. But you should never put that abuse, bundle it up, make it very heavy, and then store it in your heart. And then you let it grow and fester. It's like you trying to walk up the mountain, or even walk anyway, and you're carrying so much weight, a lot of burden. Your walk is going to be very slowly, very tiring, very burdensome. Drop the weights. It's not important. Why? Everyone will go to a very just court eventually. For whatever we did, even if it's a blink of an eye, if it's not good, we will be held accountable. Treat bad with good. The Quran mentions this beautiful verse where Allah Ta'ala says, the all-loving creator says, idfa ولا تستوي الحسنات ولا السيئة ادفع بالتي هي أحسن فإذا الذي بينك وبينه عداوة كأنه ولي حميم. Repel that which is evil. Look at how the creator is telling you. Repel that which is evil with that which is good. Evil is hate. Good is love. Repel hate with what? With love. And the Quran tells us then you will see that all things that are negative, basically, amongst the interpretation of the verse, will turn into positive. So I'm not saying forget. I'm saying, number one, stop the liability for further abuse. And then remember that people who do evil things, they lack love. Don't ever stoop to that level. Keep yourself filled with love. So I think that's one of the ways that I can answer both questions. And remember, it's never about what others do. It's it's always about you, meaning you are the one who actually matter in this equation. More, it's not about what they did to you. Will that actually turn you from letting that love actually fill your life and make you change, make you walk that path of love? All right. The other question is by Craig is, when Allahu Akbar doesn't allow physical healing, should we assume the trial is form of his love? Here's how I would like to look at it. Allahu Akbar or Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, they have healing powers, no doubt. Sometimes we go through things in life for various reasons. Now, the etiology is right now unknown, various reasons. But we go through them. And sometimes we focus a lot on the symptoms rather than the original, let's say, condition here on a creation level. And we all know that treating the symptom is not necessarily as good as treating the actual causing thing. So we're always pleased when things are good, meaning good, let's say wealth, let's say health, whatever people love. When things are, let's say, wealthy, healthy, and we're displeased when things are not. While that happens, and that's real, but I think what's much more real is that we always not lose observance and presence of him, the all-loving. And maybe that experience, if we draw more love and more strength from him, from that love, maybe that experience that we're going through, whatever it is, you want to call it a trial, you want to call it whatever, maybe that experience then will actually neutralize either the actual condition itself entirely, or actually it will neutralize your own experience of it, and things change on a higher level. So we can actually use that love that the Creator, the all-loving Creator, gives us and makes it widely available, overwhelming. You can just draw from that more and more in his name, the Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim, and neutralize either the lower condition or even neutralize the higher conditions, or many other conditions may neutralize. So I don't want to really assume that I am boxed in. No, I want you to think that you're able actually to change that condition with that love that you can draw from the all-loving Creator. That can be changed. The condition can be changed. Now, on what level can that condition be changed? It's maybe limitless levels, but surely the lowest one of them is the very condition, the very physiopathological or pathophysiological condition or biochemical condition itself. That's the minimum level, and there could be much higher levels that this could be changed. So the reason I'm saying I want to take you away from the trial and not take you away from trial, meaning whole life, because of free choice, is a test of what choice do we take and what direction do we move. But at the same time, I don't want to have a predestinationist view of what trial is, that I'm locked in or boxed in. Absolutely, you're able at this second to move, inshallah ta'ala, God willing. All right, so as I said, I don't understand the Sufi idea about that. When And
Okay. We have another couple questions, I guess, on YouTube we can't get through. Do Sufis believe in hellfire eternally?
so I saw many actually questions. I think if,
Are you seeing that?
yeah. So maybe we're trying to keep the direction to sort of as much as we can walking on the path. So if we keep that, I think we can all benefit, because if we open up to different topics, we will be here for another hour, and then that swerves us from where we want to talk about how do we move towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so Hasna says when someone is angry at him, it actually shows yourself. When someone is angry, when
someone's angry at you,
yeah, then it shows yourself. Well, you see, because king of reflection, of course. So we are always reflecting. When when someone is angry at you, they're reflecting themselves usually, and maybe they're reflecting yourself as well, both. So with themselves, they have to work about. Well, what you can do is remember what the Prophet ﷺ said in this hadith, which is beautiful, and that's your reaction. If you have nothing to contribute back, you can't change yet. Let's say you're faced with a very negative situation and a lot of anger, hate, whatever it is, and you can't really change that situation on the other person's ways. The Prophet ﷺ informed us in one beautiful narration where he says, and your smile in the face of your fellow human beings, an act of positive contribution. So there's nothing you can do. Maybe you can turn off that fire with a little smile. So that's where the focus is. Again, I want to always have you sever you as much as I can from the connection to the creation, and connect you as much as I can with the all-loving creator. Once you're connected to the creator and he's overwhelming you with love or eternally, you can sprinkle that on the creation, no problem. You're overwhelmed with it and things don't bother you as much. They will only bother you too much when there is that connection with the creator, with the all-loving creator is severed, and you're not drawing that love that's just massively. There is no shortage of love there. It's everywhere. You just have to open your heart to it. And then you can take and sprinkle and throw on everybody else who needs it, because people who have anger, there's a problem with love. People who have hate, it's a problem with love. It's not, in Sufism, we don't look at it as love versus hate. Never. Either love or no love. The Quran itself, nowhere, we have 6,000 some verses in the Quran, not even one verse says God hates. Absolutely not. What is there? God loves, God doesn't love. Not God hates. Love or doesn't love. There's difference between la yuhib, doesn't love, and yubghid, hates. And therefore, when all these verses tell you love or don't love, what's the common word? Love. That's the point. That's the message. So I think we'll leave you here, inshallah. Maybe next time with Sidi Habib, we will do it. Maybe in a month, we'll try to do it regularly. So get your questions. Inshallah, we'll try to get them. We may not be able to answer all the questions all the time or every time, but we will try to answer the questions as much as possible. We're trying to sort of find a way to walk our path and find that love of the creator and walk and live with love and live with happiness and live with satisfaction and see things that are delusions as delusions and not be fooled by our own illusions and limitations and veils. So from here, from Medina Institute, USA, to all of you, from all of us here at Medina, to all of you, all the love and all the beauty and all the prayers for all of you, all your needs. May the Creator, the all-loving Creator, grant you all your needs. May He shower you with His love. And may the world be a better place. May we all start building or going towards that civilization of love that all our messengers came to teach us. And Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
All right. Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Alhamdulillah.
Can you finish? Take that off.
Yes,
there?
please do. So we had some, I don't know if they can listen still.
I'm gonna turn off in the meeting.